Before we begin, subscribe to the channel to support War Archive and tell me in the comments where you are watching from. Before I can tell you about the 48 hours that destroyed my understanding of reality, you need to understand one thing. I don't believe in coincidences. Not after 16 years of transporting classified military cargo across the country. Not after having seen things that would make generals lose sleep. But when every security camera on a 400-kilometer route failed at the exact moment my convoy passed, when 47 independent systems presented a technical error simultaneously, when even my own body camera turned off on its own. Well, that wasn't a coincidence. It was something deliberate. Something that didn't want to be recorded. And what was in the back of my armored truck? Something the Air Force officially classifies as an unidentified biological object, code Zulu 9. But I know what it was. Because I looked into that thing's eyes. And it looked back. My name is Sergeant Tyler McKenna. I'm 38 years old and a tactical transport operator for the United States Special Operations Command, assigned to Fort Liberty, North Carolina, what used to be called Fort Bragg before the 2023 name change. My security clearance is TS/SCI with cosmic compartmented access, the kind of authorization that makes you sign documents saying you can be executed for treason if you reveal what you know. In 16 years of service, I've transported everything. Tactical nuclear weapons. Killer drone prototypes. Defector scientists. You learn not to ask questions. You pick up the load at point A, deliver to point B, and forget it existed. It's how you survive. But on November 15, 2024, at 3:47 a.m., I received an order that broke every rule I knew. The encrypted phone rang. The voice on the other end was Colonel Reese Vance, Special Operations Commander. McKenna, get into full combat uniform. Service weapon loaded. You have 20 minutes to reach Hangar 18. Alone. Don't speak to anyone. Sir, what's the mission? A pause that was too long. Special transport. Cosmic classification with information restriction until on-site briefing. This is a direct order, Sergeant. Confirmed. Something in his voice made me uneasy. Vance was a 30-year veteran. I had seen him under enemy fire without blinking. But in that call, there was something different. Fear. Carefully controlled, but fear nonetheless. Confirmed, sir. When I arrived at Hangar 18, the place was lit up like day, surrounded by a security perimeter I'd never seen before. These weren't normal guards. They were CIA Special Activities Group operators, the ghosts who technically don't exist. They searched me 3 times. Inside the hangar was a modified Oshkosh M-ATV with triple armor and an integrated Faraday cage. The container in the back was made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Colonel Vance took me to a side room, no windows, no cameras. He handed me a sealed folder. McKenna, what you read in this document doesn't leave this room. You sign the NDA, read it, memorize it, and return it. Then I burn it. Understood? I nodded and opened the folder. The first words I read were, Recovery and Containment of Extraterrestrial Biological Entity, Event Charlie 7. My stomach tied in a knot. According to the document, 72 hours earlier, a special operations unit on night exercise had found something. Not a crash. A living, wounded biological entity trying to hide in a ravine. The medical details were disturbing. Non-human skeletal structure, skin with active camouflage properties, and vitals that didn't match anything in terrestrial biology. The creature had been sedated with massive doses of ketamine, enough to bring down an elephant. It was now in a special containment chamber, kept in a state of semi-consciousness. My mission, transport the entity from Fort Liberty to an underground facility in White Sands, New Mexico. 1,800 kilometers. 48-hour window. Specific predefined route, avoiding all urban areas and traffic cameras. You will have an escort, Vance said. 4 vehicles. But the protocol is clear. If anything goes wrong, if containment fails, the escort has orders to neutralize the transport vehicle. I stared at him. Neutralize? With you inside, if necessary. His voice was cold. This thing cannot fall into civilian hands. It cannot be seen. It cannot escape. Do you understand? I understood. I was expendable. They took me to the container. A scientist briefed me. Containment is temperature controlled. 4 degrees Celsius. The entity becomes lethargic in the cold. If the temperature rises or the heart rate accelerates, an alarm will trigger on your dashboard. She hesitated. And Sergeant, don't look at it directly. Not for long. Why? Just don't. But I had to check the load. It was protocol. When they opened the observation hatch, I looked. The creature was suspended in a containment net, lit by pulsing ultraviolet lights. It was the size of an adult human but completely wrong. The limbs were too long, jointed in impossible places. The skin changed texture while I watched, from smooth to scaly, from opaque to translucent. But it was the eyes that paralyzed me. Huge. Black as the void of space. Even sedated, I could feel an intelligence. An ancient, vast consciousness looking at me. And I swear I heard it. Not with my ears. Inside my head. You. Take. Where? I recoiled so fast I stumbled. The scientist closed the hatch immediately. I warned you not to look. We left at 4:30, still dark. The convoy moved in silent formation through the empty roads of North Carolina. No normal radio. Only encrypted communication. Every 30 minutes, a check. Cargo status? I'd reply, green. Containment stable. But it wasn't stable. Not really. Every mile, strange things began to happen. First, the birds, entire flocks leaving trees as we passed, as if fleeing an invisible predator. Then the lights. Streetlights flickering. Headlights of other vehicles failing momentarily. And then I realized something disturbing. Every camera that should have recorded our passage was failing. Toll cameras, offline. Traffic cameras, technical error. Even gas station security cameras, they all blinked out exactly as we got close. And my own body cam? It turned off 3 times. Every time I tried to turn it back on, the screen showed only static. It was the second night, crossing Texas, when everything changed. 2:15 a.m. Empty roads. Desert on both sides. Then the containment alarm began to sound. Cargo status? The urgent voice came over the radio. I checked the sensors. The internal temperature was rising. 4 degrees. 6 degrees. 8 degrees. Temperature increase in containment. No cooling system failure. It's as if what, McKenna? As if the thing is generating its own heat. Silence on the radio. Then, accelerate. We need to reach the facility. Now. I hit the gas. 150 kilometers per hour. The MATV vibrated at top speed. And then I heard it again. That voice in my head. Stronger now. You are afraid. Why? My hands shook on the wheel. You. Carrie. Prisoner. But you too. Prisoner. Of fear. Of orders. Of truths. That they won't let you see. Shut up, I whispered to myself. You aren't real. It's just stress. I am. More real. Than you imagine. And they. Know it. That's why. Cameras fail. Why they? Erase evidence. Because if humans see truth, everything changes. The speedometer hit 160 kilometers per hour now. When you reach destination, you will never see daylight again. Not you. Nor I both. Expendable. Questions. Dangerous. And then, something that froze me. Emma. Your daughter. She was 7 years old. You carried her photo. Wallet. Left pocket. My heart stopped. I had never mentioned Emma to anyone on this mission. The photo was in a wallet that hadn't even left my pocket. How did that thing know? We reached White Sands at 5:47 a.m. Massive gates opened, revealing a descending ramp to the underground. Teams in NBC suits were waiting. They disconnected the container and took it into the depths. Colonel Vance was there. He pulled me aside. Good job, McKenna. Now you go to debriefing. You'll sign more papers saying none of this happened. Colonel. The cameras. Why did they all fail? He looked at me for a long moment. You're a good soldier, Tyler. Don't ruin it by asking questions. But I had one more. The one that had tormented me since the road. It spoke to me. Inside my head. How did it know about my daughter? Vance turned pale. It spoke to you? Before I could answer, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashing. Screams echoing through the underground corridors. Then an explosion. Not big. Controlled. But coming from the depths. Vance ran to the radios. His voice rose 3 octaves. Containment situation. Repeat, containment compromised. The last thing I saw before they pushed me into an evacuation room was something emerging from the deepest corridors. It wasn't the creature I had transported. It was something larger. Much larger. And behind it, there were others. That was 3 weeks ago. Officially, I am on administrative leave. In practice, I am under house arrest. 2 federal agents are stationed outside my house 24 hours a day. My phone is tapped. My movements tracked. They said it was a minor containment incident. that it's under control. But every night, I hear that voice. You sought truth. Now, you cannot unsee. And they know it. The cameras failed for a reason. Because whatever we are keeping in those facilities has the power to make human technology fail simply by being near. If there are more of them, if that night at White Sands was just the beginning, then maybe the cameras failing isn't the biggest problem. Maybe the biggest problem is that we are holding prisoner things that are smarter than us, more powerful, and very, very patient. I transported an alien for 1,800 kilometers. But every mile of that trip, I was being studied, read, understood. And the question that keeps me awake every night is simple. If they wanted to escape, if they really wanted to, what's stopping them? Sergeant Tyler McKenna. December 8, 2024. Fort Liberty, North Carolina. If you are military or work with classified material and you've seen something like this, you are not alone.